Soga no Iruka was assassinated. This coup d'etat, which took place right in front of the Emperor of Japan, marked a major turning point in Japanese history. What exactly was the political reform known as the Taika reform? Hello everyone. This time I will talk about the Taika reform. During the reign of Empress Kogyoku, Prince Nakano Oi Nakatomi no Kamatari assassinated Soga no Iruka. I talked about that in my previous video, so check that out. This time I will talk about the political reforms that Prince Nakano Oi Nakatomi no Kamatari carried out after the Ixshi incident, in which they assassinated Iruka. Now let's start by looking at what happened after the Ixshi incident. The day after the Ixshi incident, Empress Kogyoku tried to abdicate to Prince Nakano Oi. Abdication means handing over the throne to the Emperor of Japan. In short, Empress Kogyoku recommended that Prince Nakano Oi become the next Emperor of Japan. However, there are many restrictions on becoming an Emperor of Japan. It is easier to move around with the status of Crown Prince. Furthermore, this happened shortly after Prince Nakano Oi killed Soga no Iruka. If he were to become Emperor of Japan now, he would likely be resented by those around him, who would think that he killed Iruka in order to become Emperor of Japan. Prince Nakano Oi then consulted Nakatomi no Kamatari. Nakatomi no Kamatari also thought it was too early for Prince Nakano Oi to become Emperor of Japan. It would be bad for you to ascend to the throne ahead of your older brother, Prince Furuhito Oi. Your uncle Prince Karu should be made Emperor of Japan, he said. Prince Karu, Nakano Oi's uncle, was then asked to become the next Emperor of Japan. Prince Karu also declined the offer. Prince Karu recommends Prince Furuhito Oi instead. Now, Prince Furuhito Oi was asked to become the next Emperor of Japan. However, Prince Furuhito Oi declined the offer, having just lost the Soga clan, which had been supporting him until then. He must have thought it would be dangerous to continue being involved in politics. He became a monk and entered Mount Yoshino. So when Prince Karu was asked again, he had no choice but to agree to succeed the throne. Thus, Prince Karu ascended to the throne and became Emperor Kotoku. Incidentally, this is the first abdication in Japanese history. Now that a new Emperor of Japan has been appointed, politics is finally starting to move. In the new government, the Emperor of Japan is called Emperor Kotoku, the Crown Prince is Prince Nakano Oi, and the previously existing words Omi and Omoraji were abolished. New posts of Minister of the Left and Minister of the Right were established. Abe no Uchimuro and Soga no Koryamada no Ishikawa Mero were appointed as the Minister of the Left and the Minister of the Right, respectively. Abe no Uchimuro was originally a leading figure in the imperial court. Ishikawa Mero appeared in the previous video. He fought alongside Prince Nakano Oi Ixshi incident. Furthermore, men in Takamuko no Koromaru, who had studied in the Suai Tang, were appointed to the position of Kuni Hakase. Prince Nakano Oi appointed them as political advisors. Now, Nakatomi no Kamatari, who was a central figure in the Ixshi incident, became an Uchisu Omi. He would come to hold real political power together with Crown Prince Nakano Oi. The Uchisu Omi are the position that assists the Emperor of Japan and the Crown Prince. Prince Nakano Oi and Nakatomi no Kamatari began running the nation with the aim of making it as powerful as the Tang dynasty, a great power in Asia. In this way, they aimed to create a centralization state centered on the Emperor of Japan, adopting the Tang's Ritsuryo system. The first era name established in Japan around this time was Taika. Therefore, the political reforms that were implemented from this point onwards are known as the Taika reform. Let's take a look at the main events that took place during the Taika reform below. To begin with, Prince Nakano Oi and his men moved the capital from Asuka to Naniwa. That is, the relocation to Naniwa Namiya. A relocation means moving the capital to another location. The capital was located in Naniwa before, during the time of Emperor Nintoku. This was the first time in about 200 years. Why was Naniwa chosen as the capital? One reason given is that they are more receptive to continental culture. Naniwa's location, closer to the sea than Asuka, was extremely important during the period when shipping was the main mode of transportation. The Emperor of Japan rescript on Kaishin no Makoto Nori that indicated the direction of the Taika reform and was announced in Naniwa Namiya. The Kaishin no Makoto Nori has 4 provisions. The first is the article regarding Kochi Common Sei. The second provision is about the centralization system. The third provision concerns the Honden Sei. The fourth provision is about the new tax system. These seem like separate things, but they are connected. First, about Kochi Common say. The fact that it is written first means that it is the most important provision. As I said in a previous video, until then, the imperial court and local ruling families owned private citizens and private lands such as Koshiro, Miyake, Kakibei, and Tadokoro. However, these were abolished, and it was declared that henceforth all land and people would come under state control. In essence, it was declared that Japan's people and territory belonged to the nation, not to an individual. The ulterior motive behind this was to suppress the power of the local ruling families that had recently been growing stronger. It would be a problem if a local ruling families like the Soga clan emerged with power equal to that of the Emperor of Japan. Now, once you understand Article 1, the rest is easy. The Emperor of Japan sends his vassals to various regions to govern them. They organize the people into regions. They create a family register and find out how many people live there. On that basis, land is distributed to the people. They thus distributed the land equally among the peasants. They then imposed taxes on the land and people that they had been allocated. For example, they could require farmers to pay 5% of the rice they harvest to the government. This is what is written in the Kaishin no Makoto Nori. After hearing that, you might have realized something. This plan is far too grandiose. Just because an Kaishin no Makoto Nori was issued did not mean that taxes could be collected from the next day. These things are accomplished little by little over many years. Now, there were people who were dissatisfied with the political reforms that were progressing in this way. These were the local ruling families that had held power until then. The fact that the Emperor of Japan began to gain power meant, on the other hand, that the power of the local ruling families that had previously held power was weakened. Sabanoko Yamada no Ishikawa probably thought that he would kill Iruka and then his time would come. He must have been unhappy with the fact that the power of the local ruling families was gradually being eroded. The reformers who sought a new world were Prince Nakano Oi and Nakatomi no Kamatari. And the conservatives who cling to traditional power are Sabanoko Yamada no Ishikawa and Emperor Kotoku. These two factions are coming into conflict. At that time, the minister of the left, Abe no Uchimuro, died. Soga no Kuryamada no Ishikawa, the minister of the right, who supported him politically, must have been deeply saddened by his friend's death. However, Ishikawa would also die a few days later. It all started with a tip-off. One day, a man named Soga no Himuka came to visit Prince Nakano Oi. Himuka is Ishikawa younger brother. Himuka informed the emperor that his older brother, Ishikawa, was plotting to assassinate Prince Nakano Oi. This was a lie by Himuka. Himuka was jealous of his older brother Ishikawa's status and wanted to take his place. Prince Nakano Oi believed what Himuka said and sent an army to defeat Ishikawa. When Ishikawa finds out that Himuka has falsely informed him, he leaves Naniwa and flees to Nara. He finally gave up and committed suicide at his family temple, the Mata Temple. The punitive force sent by Prince Nakano Oi surrounded the temple and annihilated those involved. The punishments given were 14 people executed by hanging, 9 executed by public hanging, and 15 exiled. However, I later found out that what Himuka said was a lie. Prince Nakano Oi deeply regretted his actions and had Soga no Himuka, who had given false information, exiled to Dazaifu. By the way, there is a theory that Prince Nakano Oi knew it was a lie but deliberately pretended to be fooled by Himuka. Now that Ishikawa is gone, the only conservative remaining is Emperor Kotoku. Emperor Kotoku and Prince Nakano Oi never got along well to begin with. In 653, Prince Nakano Oi proposed to return to Yamato, but Emperor Kotoku refused. This argument led to a complete breakdown between the two. Prince Nakano Oi left Emperor Kotoku behind in Naniwa and returned to Asuka. As a result, Emperor Kotoku's mother, Empress Kogyoku, his younger brother Prince Oama, and even his wife Hashihito no Himamiko returned to Asuka. All that remained was Prince Arima and a few of his retainers. A dejected Emperor Kotoku passed away at Naniwa-namiya. He was abandoned by many people and died alone. Thus the conservatives disappeared and the reformists continued their movement. Anyway, the most important issue at the time was who should become the new emperor of Japan. Of course, the matter must have reached Prince Nakano-Oi this time as well. However, he preferred a position of freedom of movement and so did not yet ascend to the throne. Prince Nakano-Oi installed his mother as emperor of Japan in name only. Thus, Empress Kogyoku was re-elected at the Asuka Idabuki no Miya Palace and became Empress Saimei. However, as I said earlier, this was an emperor of Japan in name only and real political power was held by Prince Nakano-Oi. At this time Empress Kogyoku became Emperor of Japan again. When the same person becomes Emperor of Japan twice, it is called a choso. Empress Saimei has loved flashy civil engineering work since her days as Empress Kogyoku. She will continue with her flashy civil engineering work this time around. Thanks to this, the Asuka capital experienced tremendous growth. The local ruling families who gathered there must have been astonished at the authority of the imperial court. Civil engineering projects take time, money and effort. The burden falls heavily on those below. There were probably some people who were not happy about the repeated construction work. In this situation, Prince Arima was the one who took action. Prince Arima is the son of Emperor Kotoku, who passed away in Naniwa-namiya. This meant that he was a candidate to become Emperor of Japan after Emperor Kotoku. He was unable to ascend to the throne because there was a powerful man called Prince Nakano-Oi. Moreover, Prince Nakano-Oi was the kind of person who left his father, Emperor Kotoku, behind in Naniwa-namiya and returned to Asuka. Prince Arima must have resented Prince Nakano-Oi when he saw Emperor Kotoku die lonely in Naniwa. Around this time, Prince Arima was recuperating at a hot spring in what is now Wakayama Prefecture, claiming to have been suffering from a mental illness due to the shock of his father's death. After returning to Asuka, he taught Empress Saimei about the wonders of hot springs. After hearing this story, Empress Saimei sets off on a trip to the hot springs. Prince Nakano-Oi also joins them on the hot spring trip. At that time, someone came to visit Prince Arima. This is Soga no Akai. Soga no Akai is the younger brother of Himyuko, who slandered Ishikawa Muro. Ishikawa Muro was forced to commit suicide, and Himyuko was demoted to Dazaifu. So after they left, Ake became the representative of the Soga clan. What did Soga no Akai come to Prince Arima to do? He came to complain about Prince Nakano-Oi and Empress Saimei. Ake claimed that the recent repeated civil engineering works were bad politics. He asked Prince Arima to become the Emperor of Japan. In essence, he proposed raising the army and staging a coup d'etat. Prince Arima was pleased that the time had finally come to defeat his hated Prince Nakano-Oi and plotted a rebellion with Akai. Prince Arima's plan was to attack Prince Nakano-Oi and Empress Saimei, who were on a trip to a hot spring. But something unexpected happens. Surprisingly, Soga no Akai was on Prince Nakano-Oi's side. The plan failed when Ake informed Prince Nakano-Oi that Prince Arima was plotting a rebellion. Prince Arima was taken to Prince Nakano-Oi and executed at the young age of 19. Well, what do you think? Thus, there were almost no forces left that could oppose Prince Nakano-Oi and Nakatomi no Kamatari. The Taika reforms were carried forward through many sacrifices. However, at this time, Japan was facing a threat from across the sea. In the next video I will talk about the Battle of BK Jeong. See you in the next video.